Being an empath is one of the most powerful traits a human can have, but it may also feel like a curse to those who have it. Think about it like this: being able to feel absolutely every emotion around you at all times. Think of a typical day-to-day. Not only do you have to deal with your own emotions, but you can also sense others. The way I visualize it, it's like there's this big bucket with happiness, anger, stress, joy, and any other emotions someone else around you is experiencing, plus your own, all at once. You may or may not know which one is yours and which one belongs to someone else, and sometimes you don't have control over it, over what you feel. So think of how crazy a day-to-day can be like for an empath. When you're an empath, telling the difference between your emotions and what's out there can be very difficult. And even if you can tell the difference, tuning out others' emotions is a struggle. It's like you're feeling someone else needs help, but you have to pretend like you don't know it. It's a hard choice to make, and it's a continuous one to have. There is also the idea of being able to understand what makes others happy and wanting to do exactly that. Please them. Which may imply going above and beyond what you're supposed to be doing to begin with, right? Because in an empath's mind, if it makes someone happy, it's worth doing. It's almost like a duty. So, what is an empath? Think about it like this. An empath can sit in a space and observe, understand, and feel everyone's emotions around him or her. And it's not even I sympathize with how you feel. No, man, it's literally feeling exactly what that person is feeling. For example, I can be sitting across from you and you can be saying something. And part of my mind is processing what you're saying. But if I turn on my empath switch, I can actually feel what you're feeling. What you're really feeling. What you really want to say. Not just what your words are saying or what your text says. Because, oh yeah, do keep in mind that physical space is just a layer. They're the kind of empaths that can feel someone's vibration, aka feelings, at a distance. So being an empath can be distracting too. And here's an example that will come in handy for the non-empaths listening to this prior to the holiday family reunions, because those are exceptionally fun for empaths not. Let's say you're sitting at a table having a conversation with me and someone next to you is not talking. But some people's feelings are what I like to call loud. Well, I'll most likely be distracted by that. So it's not like I don't want to pay attention. I'm just doing multiple conversations at once, talking to you and talking to someone's soul at the same time. Now, this is tricky because I can see how unnerving this interaction could have been to someone, let's say 5 years ago, when I couldn't multitask and someone was trying to talk to me and it always seemed like I was in La La Land. If you met me before this whole awakening thing and experienced this from me, now you know why. And I apologize sincerely. But yes, let's focus on that receptive mode for a bit. It must be very frustrating for someone to try to have a conversation with an empath. Like, why are you not paying attention to me? I don't know, because probably there are 10 other emotions going on and I can't keep up. Or like, I'm paying attention to you, but someone may need help. So what's my priority, right? Again, that is a day-to-day struggle of an empath. Explaining how we know someone is feeling a certain way, I don't know. It's intuition. But once you learn to trust it, you learn to stand behind it because it will never lead you astray. When you know, you know. Through this path, I've met a few empaths along the way and find it super interesting to know the different dynamics we all go through, not just on a day-to-day basis, but overall, like what our childhood was like, what our adolescence was like, all the struggles, relationships. Those are epic with an empath. I'll go into detail with those later. There are different types of empath. There are the ones that do everything and anything to make others happy, even when that makes them suffer. And honestly, my heart goes to those people because I know what that feels like. There are the ones that don't understand why they're able to feel others' emotions. And there are the ones that make a constant effort to turn off their empath radar to avoid the pain it has led them to. So, by all means, it never sounds like this is a good thing to have, right? We're all at different stages, and there's always a reason for each one of them, but the biggest task is finding out what that reason is. In my case, I gained consciousness that the emotions I was feeling were not all mine at a pretty young age. But that doesn't mean things got easier. Of course not, right? It was hard to understand what I was, because obviously I thought I was an alien, and that's why I was so weird being an empath, plus all the past life memories. Yeah, it was pretty fun. Plus I felt like, my galactic family had just abandoned me once I became a little old. Little old meaning like 7. Yeah. But to me, it was more of I feel guilty because I knew I was feeling somebody else's emotions, and I felt like a fudging intruder all the time. I didn't know how to tune out or shield somebody else's emotions, and I'll go more in depth about this in a bit, but empathy can actually lead to mind reading. So my anxiety as a child originated from that feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm entering your feelings and mine and you don't know it, and that is totally disrespectful of my part, and I feel anxious and guilty and mad because I don't know how to stop. And I'm also afraid of the day I'll get caught, because yeah, that was a thing too. I was afraid that somebody was going to know that I was reading their mind and they were going to tell my mom or something, right? Or worse yet, tell my brothers. Oh gosh, I would die. And I was also angry at myself for not being able to stop it. It was borderline feeling like a failure for losing control of my own emotions. Yeah, very self-critical here. Because you have no training, right? It's something that you're born with and it just happens. So how do you stop? And that is a great question. Yet I don't think there's a prescription for that. There is no standard method. Like, here, this is what you have to do and it will get fixed. I really wish there was one, but no. But there's a crystal called Celestite, which I think of as the empath's tool. And here's why I recommend it. Celestite targets the third eye chakra. And what that does is help raise your awareness and differentiate between you and others. Now, does that mean that once you have it, you can never feel somebody else's emotions again? No, but it helps knowing the difference between yours and theirs. Celestite is also a gentle healing crystal, making the transition smoother. And what do I mean by transition? Think about it like this. Let's say there's a radio station, or you're watching 10 different channels on the TV at once, and all of a sudden your attention has to be focused on one because all the other 9 went void. Well, your attention has to refocus, right? So it's not a struggle, but it's still a difference. That's what I mean by transition, because all of a sudden it's like everything gets quieter. So what is it, or what happens now that you have nothing to focus on but your own, right? Celestite also helps relieve stress and anxiety, so it's like peeling unnecessary layers to better discern what's going on. I also think it's a shield, and that it helps open your throat chakra so that you may recognize and find your own voice above others. The cool thing about Celestite too is that you don't even have to carry it around with you. It's like having it in your space charges up your empath battery. Again, this is how I see it. And then you go on and do whatever it is that you have to do around the day, and it just feels lighter. The environment feels lighter. This is what has worked for me, and that is why I'm sharing it with you. What works for me may not work for you, but I thought I'd share. So back to the idea of having your empathic intuition evolve into a mind reading sort of thing. I used to have a job in corporate America, right? So think about it like this. You're in a room with 80 other people, or in an office space with 80 other people, sharing and feeling everyone's emotions. It gets pretty crazy, right? So at some point, I made a conscious choice of like, I'm sort of gonna tune out everything that I can and focus as much as possible on my own emotions and just shut everything off. Well, I thought I was pretty good at it, but I guess not, right? But there was one particular incident that really made me uncomfortable. So I went into the office of this higher up, and she was trying to explain this concept to me, and she started talking, and then all of a sudden, I knew where she was going, so I just finished her sentences for her. And it was as intricate as describing a diagram. Like an idea mapping sort of thing, concept mapping. So I finished her sentences for her, and she looked at me and she's like, whoa, it's like you're reading my mind. But the tone she used was like she had become aware of something and didn't like it. I got totally red. I freaked out. I changed the subject as fast as I could, and then I left. once I was out of there, I was like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Did I just really do that without being conscious of the fact that I was doing it? So I felt really bad. I felt really guilty, and I felt ashamed of myself for having allowed this to go to that extent. So I think I went into her office like a few days later, and I was like, hey, and please note, I have been very cautious of who I was sharing this with prior to that, right? So this, I mean, like the fact that I am an empath. So I go in and tell her like, hey, so this is who I am and this is what I do. And like, I felt as comfortable at the moment as, I don't even think I felt comfortable. I think I was being stupid, honestly. I was trying to like be as honest as possible to not feel bad for what I had done, right? Which wasn't smart. So I told her what I did on the side, and her face just turned like super weird. And she's like, oh, I actually have a meeting right now. Do you mind if we catch up later? I could tell that she didn't like it. So I was like, sure. That was the very last day that I had a one-on-one conversation with her. Because from that moment on, she made sure that every time I had to talk to her, there was somebody else in the room. Because, focusing on two people is harder than focusing on one. And yeah, I felt bad, but at the end of the day, there was nothing, I hadn't done anything wrong. Should I have known better to limit myself? Yes. Should I not have told her? Yes. But you think you can trust people and you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, even though you can read through them and see through them and see how awful of human beings they are. You're still like, well, she's in pain and she has gone through a lot. So maybe if I share this with her, she'll be more comfortable and open up. And no, man, no, bad experience. So bad experience aside, it's like this, and I'm sure empaths out there will be able to understand what I'm saying. You get such a good grasp of someone's emotions that you can almost anticipate what they're going to say or what they want. But it's like, it's not so much of it becomes a tangible fragment at some point. It stops being this etheric idea. And that's when you know that it's a thing. So I don't even know how to explain it, and I don't even know if I'm making much sense, but like if you trust what you're feeling, the space between going from empath to mind reader is not a huge one. It's just a matter of practice. And that practice comes with trusting yourself, trusting that what you're feeling is a real thing. But before getting into mind reading, what is the purpose of an empath? Because there must be a purpose. Well, most likely, you're here to go through that journey of learning how to use your skills, I want to say. And at some point, that empathy becomes handy for yourself when you have to heal yourself, because that is the path of an empath. At some point, you'll have to do some self-healing. And after that, you're able to help others heal because you understand what their pain feels like. And you don't want that on anyone, right? What happens when you meet a narcissist? Because, oh my gosh, yes. That is the other side of an empath, right? And that is almost like the test in life that every empath goes through. How do you deal with a narcissist? What happens when you encounter someone that just loves taking all that happiness from you? And you don't even get a chance to say, give me a break and let me refill. Let me think about how to process this. It doesn't happen. They don't care. They just want more. Because no one has given them what you have given them. The amount and the kind of love that you will receive from an empath is above any sort of limits. And it's beyond extraordinary in comparison. Now, I'm not saying that you can compare love or one kind of love to another. But because an empath is so aware of how to make you happy, they will do their best to meet that criteria and nothing less. So think about it. The narcissist is always asking for more, and the empath is like, okay, I'll give you more. And that never ends. There is this toxic cycle of pain and just endurance and the ability to just keep going and going until you can't go any longer. One of the things that causes me the most excitement when meeting an empath is getting to know whether or not they've already gone through this narcissist-empath scenario. And it's not because I'm evil, okay? It's not that. But I want to know where they're at in their path. And why? Because there is something called a Supernova Empath. And that happens when you just have gone through hell and come back with that fudging narcissist, and you're on that other side of like, or rather yet, you may not know, but you have the potential to be on the other side and be totally aware of what an empath-narcissist relationship is like. You know how to not feed them anymore. But not just that, you've like recovered your power. It's like this. Before going through the whole empath-narcissist thing, you understand people's emotions, you know what they want, you want to please them, blah, 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 right? You go through the narcissist scenario and it's like above and beyond depletion. And then you go down to the deepest part of your soul because there is nothing else to give. The narcissist walks away. And in that period between the narcissist walking away and the next one coming in, because oh my gosh, there's always a narcissist around an empath, there's a possibility for an empath to say, I'm going to put my foot down. This empath thing is not a curse. It's a gift to understanding myself and others, and understanding that if I'm capable of feeling somebody's emotions, I'm going to use that, connect that with my intuition, and next time have a stronger ground of understanding of who I am, what I want, and I'll know how to sense the red flags right before they hit. So no one is going to be able to come in my way anymore. No one is going to be able to step over me if I don't allow it. It's almost like adopting the narcissist perspective, but you're doing it with love. And oh my gosh, it's like that killing with kindness moment that you understand. And you can look at the narcissist and say, your soul is so fudged up that I feel bad for you. And not only am I able to defend myself moving forward, but I'm able to look at you from a loving perspective and let go. Understand that you have a whole journey ahead of you and it's separate from me. And there is nothing for me to do here anymore. I'm only going to move forward and just become this source of healing energy, not just for myself, but for others. And I think that is when the true path of an empath starts. When you really understand that your purpose for feeling others' feelings is not a purpose of like torturing yourself over life, but it's more of you becoming aware of how to heal others, how to help them make it through the day. You're also able to spot the ones that deserve the healing, or rather yet, the ones that are ready to receive the healing. Because it's not like somebody deserves it more than others. It's more of like when the person is ready, right? So I think this is very broad, but sort of introduction of what an empath is like and what it feels like to be an empath and what a day-to-day could be. And as always, please let me know if you have any questions or if there's something that I didn't talk about that you would like to discuss more. My name is Sharon, and this is Daily Dose of Galaxy. Thank you, and have a beautiful day. Bye.